If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Hey, they might be. Has anybody ever actually tried offering another enemy leader a balloon? It's a little just here. Here, take this. Alright, we don't need to fight. Have a nice bunch of balloons. And maybe a bar of chocolate. I think that's all some people need every now and then. They'll be a little less uptight, you know? Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony. Do you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself, however. Alright. So, a green balloon next to ours at the time. I can imagine that what? Scenario? You mean scenario or what? I think they did put the North Koreans had pea shooters. Oh. What have I got flying in my room? That is weird. I have an insect in my room. But it looks weird. I'll have to squish that during the break soon. Sorry, German spelling. Oh, no problem. Right, so this piece of green cloth, well, it doesn't really contradict this. If anything, it agrees with them. So I don't know what we're supposed to contradict with. I believe the green cloth's going to come into it in this piece. This is a torn piece of canvas-like material backed with rubber that was found under the experimentation stage at the exhibition grounds, and there are scorch marks around the edge. So I don't know if I present that with this, where he's talking about the green balloon, because the point is you object to say that it's inconsistent with evidence, but that isn't. That's consistent with evidence. So do we object to Ginny saying there was a huge bang from the stage and the next sector a bang from in the sky besides us? I don't know. Let me make sure that the progress is safe first, just in case anything bad happens. Okay, the music continued, so that's not true. That doesn't work. That's one good thing. If the music stops, you know you got it right. It stops for dramatic effect. Yes, it's save it before the green balloon explodes. Exactly. So do I do it with this one? Objection. No, apparently not. Can you actually lose a case? Yeah. You see those little pips up in the top corner there where the finger is? There's like one of them's pulsing and then there are 4 more. Every time we make a mistake, we run out of those pips. And if we get all the way down, those are like the lives that we have. If we run out of those, we lose the case. But in previous Ace Attorney games, there were some paths you could take in like multiple choices. Normally, if you pick the wrong one, you lose one of these pips and you go back to where you could make the choice again and you keep going till you get the right one. But there was one case in the original Ace Attorney trilogy that I remember where it gave you multiple choices. You had to pick a route you were going to go down, like, okay, this is how I'm going to present my argument, or this is how I'm going to present my argument. I picked the wrong one and we played another 15 minutes worth of dialogue before we lost the case. It was just like, you picked the wrong choice, fool. I was like, whoa. So it actually gave me the end game screen. I had to go back to that save point and work my way forward again and pick the correct one that time. So that can happen as well, potentially. That was the only time I remember it happening, but I think it was like a really hard choice. You know, it was like a rock and a hard place situation, and you had to pick one or the other. It was like, do you do this or do you do that? And I picked the one which I thought was like, okay, that makes more sense. And I went down the wrong path, and it was like, nope, you failed. You know, the argument you were going to make it was a trap. It got turned around against you. And then the judge rendered a guilty verdict and you lost, and it was like, what? So that sucked. I played Ace Attorney on the Nintendo DS. I can't remember a thing from it. I mean, if you didn't come across that, then it might be that you picked the right answer at that point, because that's the thing as well, you know. There could have been moments like that in previous cases where I've just not gone down the wrong one because I knew what I was doing. I was like, no, it's that one, and I picked it by chance, and it all turned out fine in the end. So you can lose a case though every now and then. That is possible. But anyway, yeah, this is not working. I just save scum because I can't be asked to go through all the dialogue. Alright. Well, now that we've been through all that, let's see what we have to say again at the end of it. Prosecution really is asserting the demonstration was genuine. What if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what the people saw. Well, we've done that now. We've found out more. We've gone through all of these and pressed them. This is the new one. There'd be no reason to get this if this weren't something we were supposed to present evidence at. A green balloon that was next to ours at the time. I seriously doubt that I always pick the right path. It's hard, isn't it? You think you're making a good argument, and then it gets turned around against you, and the logic gets twisted, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, no! I didn't think about that. It's very well written, how they do it. So, it's gotta be this green piece of cloth. No one went into it after the tower. Well, this guy says he's grateful his balloons were not damaged. But is that true? Is he lying maybe just to protect his business? What if this was his?
Objection!
Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosion, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. I think it may be, see, part of a balloon, a burnt piece of the fabric for the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? I didn't realize we were talking about the postal service here, sir. Pardon, that is this large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It is made from a very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you are in the sky? No. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gotts testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day. If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. No! If a balloon exploded that day, why didn't the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh, I just spent a whole £10 for the experience. How awful. Seems like those things crashed 50% of the time anyway. The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate, terrific accident, traffic accident, as it were, but It changes nothing about the pertinent facts. Well, how come we're not dealing with multiple other dead people that rain down from the sky? Do we have a report of there being lots and lots of other injuries? No. Interesting. This I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Loon? You are suggesting I am a liar? The persons died in a balloon incident. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It's not possible. You're saying it's impossible? Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day. Hey! But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. It's raining dead. Hallelujah! It's raining dead. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. Grazie, my lord. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe! But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? And the coppers in the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupido Ragzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So this was a rival balloon company encroaching on your territory. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one that belongs to you. Si, exactamente. If he even saw a balloon in the first place. I do not like the sound of it. It is very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. Oh, wow. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. All out war. May I have a balloon, please? Yes, grazie. Enjoy your balloon, you little ragamuffin. What happened to all out war? Again, the balloon, dude! It solves all problems! We could avoid so much war and death in our world if we just, you know, at the first sign of shit kicking off, hand a bunch of balloons over to someone. Here you go, dude, just chill. It works! Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying, but that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and the evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witnesses' statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. And so we shall. We shall do so after the break. Guys, it's time for me to take a quick break and I need to refill my water, so, alright. Let's do some ruthless cross-examining. Hey, little Rip, what's up? I don't know what they did, but sue them for all they've got! Yes, absolutely. We will. But first, we need to prove our client innocent, so... yeah. Work before pleasure. How's it going, little Rip? Nice to see you today. Hope you're having a good Friday. Right, so he's no liar. Every balloon landed safely. Let's press him on that. You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe? Oh shit, I own 4 balloons! Fucking Balthazar, what a name, yeah, right? What's good as well is this guy operates hot air balloons, and his name is Balthazar Loon, or Balloon. It's like, it's just, I love this game. The creativity of the names is great. Senor, I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and was missing one. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. My stream totally didn't just jump back 20 seconds. Lucky you get to watch that in 20 seconds again. Yeah, Twitch sometimes does some weird shit. It really does. I have a report here that clearly says a total of 3 balloons. Stop breaking it! I haven't broken anything. Objection! How's it going, Alchemist? Good to see you, dude. Happy Friday. How's things? It would appear no mistake has been made then. Surely, Miss Lestrade could have been sent for such a menial task. What? Me? I'll tell you what, I just told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have a go himself in that case. I told you not to fiddle with the flux capacitor. Great Scott! Things are complicated, oh dear. Well, that doesn't sound good. I hope they're not badly complicated. And I hope they uncomplicate themselves soon, because complications suck ass. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground, an explosion, what a catastrophe. Pretty fucking complicated, oh dear. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. I really hope things, you know, sort themselves out for you soon. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. You know where I am if you ever need to talk, dude. I'll tell you what, English, yes. Yeah, some of these characters, this kid especially, oh my god. The Bohemian Prince. Alright, so all 3 were carrying passengers. So he's saying that, you know, if any of his balloons went down, surely, you know, there'd be a lot of injured or killed passengers that we'd be hearing about as well. Remember how I was getting hired as a maintenance electrician? Yes, I do remember you telling me that now. It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps the balloons in the sky? Magic. The hand of God. That's not happening anymore? Oh no. Oh, that's too bad. Wow, sorry to hear that. Are you an idiot? Sorry? That is like asking, why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright, and a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Wow. Should this guy be in charge of hot air balloons if he just knows that they fly and therefore that's good enough? Ooh. That must be Italian for I don't know. There are 2 types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe. The magic gas? Which one of those is the magic gas, the hot air one or the gas one? I feel it's not exactly the same, but you just got fired, so kind of on the same spectrum. Ah, oh no. After I was told I'd be hired and got a replacement for my old job hired and trained, so not only did I after I was told I'd be hired and got a replacement for your old job hired and trained, so not only did I not get hired, I can't go back to my previous job, and now you're unemployed? Oh no, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow, that's a shitty situation to have found yourself in. That really is. I'm really sorry to hear that, dude. Hopefully you find something else soon, because right now, especially with everything going on, it's oof. Man, yeah. I mean, To be honest, I mean, I kind of feel that as well from years and years ago. Like back when I was like 23, I think I was 22, 23. I made a dumb decision to leave my current job that I was in. No, I was 23. Yeah, 20. No. That was when I left and then I went back. I'm old, guys. Okay, I've done a lot of shit. It's hard to put it all straight. No, I was like 25 to 26. I left my old job, which I was in, because a friend of mine had promised me a job doing like CCTV surveillance installations, and they wanted another field engineer that they wanted to apprentice and train up. And we're like, yeah, I'm hiring 4 new engineers, 2 new accounts managers. Come on in, you know? And I must admit, I said, I don't mind the idea of the accounts manager as well. I've done, you know, stuff here in retail that could transfer to that, so... But also, I wouldn't mind being an apprentice engineer. She says, well, we'll find you whichever one works. And then she said, you know, put your notice in. You know, I'll take you. I'm taking people on in 3-4 weeks' time. I'll be in touch. So I put my notice in, finished my old job, decided to give myself a week or 2 to just kind of, you know, de-stress from that shit. And then this person no longer took my phone calls, didn't answer a single one. I left message after message, and they just straight up snubbed me. And I was like, fuck. And I couldn't go back to my old place because they had a hiring freeze. They were over budget for staff, and they'd been told not to hire new staff as people leave so they could come under budget again. That's terrible. Yeah, I felt really shitty for that. I haven't seen that person since, so... yeah. I mean, I don't mind if they'd have just owned up and said, look, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun and I couldn't afford to hire more people. Or maybe if their business collapsed, I don't know, because I didn't even know the company. You know, I didn't even know it to look it up or know where they were to go to the office. I just had a mobile number. So, yeah, sounds somewhat familiar. Yeah, it's very similar to the situation you found yourself in, so I really hope you find something soon to plug the gap. That's sketchy. Well, I mean, the thing is, I know she ran the company, you know, and I know she did do the job because she had like a catalogue that she brought, because I knew her through college and I'd just finished my degree. She was on the same degree and she was telling us all about this. So she brought a catalogue with her one day and like that she'd just had done at the printers that afternoon in town, and she showed it to us. She was so happy about it, and this was like a year before she offered me a job. So, you know, I know that she did have a company. Whether or not the company folded and she just decided not to call me again, you know, or get, you know, but damn. Erikai! Hello, you missed me. Dude, we missed you too. Come on in. Welcome. But yeah, it's like, I would have much rather she at least, you know, answered my messages or even answered the phone when I called and said, I'm sorry, but this hasn't worked out. I could have respected that. Being straight up just ghosted that way, that fucking, yeah, that sucked hard. So I really feel for you guys, Little Rip and Alchemist, and I hope you find something for yourselves. You know, just power through, and we're always here for you guys if you ever want to just chat and vent and get it out of your system. Here, Discord, wherever, you know, I've got an ear you can burn, no problem. Kind of very slightly fucked at the moment because my dad owns the company I worked for and has yet to officially fire me. He did tell me not to come to work as he wants nothing to do with me. Oh god, zero clue what I did. Wow, oh that's even worse than Little Rip, you know, like when it's a family thing as well. My dad had 2 companies once upon a time, and he used to hire a few of his brothers, you know, like to work for him, and he had to fire a couple of them at some point, and it's business and family it's rough to mix when things don't go well. But yeah, hopefully you figure that out. That's not good. Kind of like with me, they told me that they'd give me a call next week to have me fill out the paperwork, and that was about a month ago now. Yeah, just so you just got ghosted as well then. Man, that sucks. It's like, just own up to it and, you know, at least tell people if you're not going to hire them. It's better knowing at least than not. You're still in the same situation, but they don't feel quite like they've just been abandoned, you know, and that makes all the difference. Just finished my assignment after coffee and you can't sleep. Oh, your brain's abuzz. Yeah, too much activity going on upstairs and too much caffeine. Man. Well, hey Erikai, we're playing Ace Attorney, so the game series that you found this channel with. We've come full circle. And you can't get a hold of anyone there. They won't let me talk to anyone without an appointment. Oh man, yeah. Can't get a hold of a dude that took the appointment, just kind of fucked on that front. Yeah, and that's it, because then when you don't know, you're wondering, like, are they on the other end of this, like, with some shit happening in the middle that's stopping you from really being able to touch base and make contact, where they're thinking, where is this person? Why haven't they come for this job we told them they'd have? It's just, you know, you start worrying about that as well, thinking, is this, do I have a job waiting for me, but I can't just get to it? Yeah, or are they just being shits and decided to just say, fuck that guy? Working on getting a job at the Walmart because of the amount of hours I had at your previous job. Even at minimum hours, the shift would overlap. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing as well with, like, jobs in retail. You have to be available all the time because they decide to put you in odd, weird hours just to cover the gaps in the rota. We airing them grievances, yeah. That's right, Eric. We're just going over some stuff of where we all get shafted trying to get work or losing jobs, and yeah. It's no good, but guys, good vibes to you all. I hope at some points, very soon, things work out for you. Right, so this guy has hydrogen. Lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord. I do not permit smoking in the carriages of any of my balloons. The magic gas does not like fire. That's why it's magic. The fire is the magic. That gas is not magic until it's lit. Meanwhile, I feel like I'm too dumb for university and want to work. Oh no. No, stick at it, Erikai. Stick at it, dude. I mean, even for self-satisfaction, I felt the same when I was doing my degrees, and I came away with those degrees and I felt much better for it afterwards. They're too stupid to understand that I'm entirely free. Oh no. Yeah. If you call yourself dumb again, I'll come over there with a bat and beat the love into you. Yes. That's how we do it on this channel. Absolutely. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What's the matter with you, senor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons explode that way, I am completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me as a proof. Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded? Blunt force affection, yes. Man, can you imagine that being like, you know, on a medical report card? Yeah, what was the injury? Blunt force affection. What? Is that a thing? Yes, it is. Apparently there's this place called the Iron Forest where that happens. So, yeah. Right, you can get away from the fact that a burnt up bit of cloth was found at the scene. Hold it! I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, me. Anyways, works out better than diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Local delicacy, bring on the poutine. Barbecue brisket and whiskey. Yes. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish off the floor. Thing is though, the cage went crashing into the Crystal Tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered this up as evidence. God, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Well, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. I could arrest you with this if I wanted. I wouldn't be putting it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about an investigation. But the coppers in the yard reckoned it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage.
Hold it!
There was considerable damage to the stage and the surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the coves, what were watching the experiment, we caught in the blast and got injured. I totally butchered that. Hang on, let me do that again. Some of the coves, what were watching the experiment, were caught in the blast and injured. Right, okay, so that was right. It just didn't sound right in my head. Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that, but that would be terrible. I'm the Canadian equivalent of Texas, Alberta! Yes, that's where I'm moving! I'm moving to Canadian Texas. Your northern brother from another motherland. In fact, actually, when I was there first time in 2011, I went to, I keep forgetting the name of the shop now. It begins with an L, Little Rip. Like a shop where you get stuff like this. Let me show you. Is it Lamley's? That comes to mind. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the shop. Lamley's? Oh my god! Yeah, I don't think I ever put this on stream before. This I've had since 2011. I died. Looks good. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. I look better with this on with my glasses on than when I don't wear my glasses. Such a cowboy. Well, yeah. Why am I just now seeing this hat? It was always downstairs in the living room. It was on my, well, it was on like a nail. Like I'd driven into the side of my bookcase and I would hang this hat off of it. So I streamed in the upstairs bedroom, but now this sits on top of the wardrobe up there because I had nowhere else to put it when I moved into this place. Damn it, man. I even had you do a Texan accent before. You did, yes. When I was doing, again, this game, Ace Attorney, we had Officer Jake Marshall, where they shoot you for that in Texas. So I should have run downstairs and grabbed the hat, but it always just seemed like so much effort because I had to go down the stairs to get the hat. Then I had to come back up the stairs to the computer. You know. Yeah. Where are you now? I haven't caught up. I'm living in my parents' house right now. This currently is my sister's old bedroom, which I have turned into my computer/living room. Literally over there is my sofa. The bed that was in here is shoved up into the corner. The sofa is up against the bed. There's a coffee table, and then there's my TV stand over there with my TV on it and my Xbox, my Blu-ray player, my network storage devices sat next to that, and the router on the side table. Yeah. So that's that, and then through this wall over here is my my old bedroom. That's just where I sleep, because there's a big staircase in it that goes up into the attic, so there's not a lot of space in there to be able to do much of anything else. Much space, wow! Well, I've got less than when I lived with a house with multiple rooms, but yeah, I got this in 2011. From, again, I think it's, the name of the shop was Lamley's or Lemmy's, something like that. And they sell all cowboy hats and, like, you know, belts and belt buckles and boots and stuff like that. So I was going to get a white hat, you know, but the ones they had looked kind of tacky and a bit cheap. And I thought, no, I'd rather just, you know, I didn't want to leave without getting a hat, but at the same time, yeah, the white hats that were there weren't good. If I'm going to buy a white Albertan hat, I am going to buy a good one. You know? A high quality one. That's what I want. So, yeah. But, yeah, I've had that some years now. I've had that 10 years. That was the first thing I think I actually bought in Canada. First time I visited. Come to think of it, yeah, because it was the very next day after I arrived, we went out and got that. So, there we go. I'm ready. I just need the paperwork, immigration friggin' officer, please. Yeah, just need approving. So there was a great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed on a torn piece of the envelope from Balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Like me swiping all his fish and chips, eh? The man's sole pleasure. Don't take it from him. None of this matters. The scrap of the balloon envelope means nothing. Niente. A stupid ragazzo is mistaken. The balloons have the blue and red zigzag stripes anyway.
Hold it!
All of them? You also shared your latest work in the project since you haven't posted in a while in Discord. Oh, nice. We'll have a look at those later then. Thank you. You mean the colour is wrong? Si, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. No, because they exploded. And yet a piece of green cloth was found at the scene, and it's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that the green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded at some earlier date, unfortunate as I'm sure you'd agree. You'd believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the expedition? Exhibition? All these X's, damn. Si, exactamente, the senor says it's not far from one of my balloons. Clearly this little ragazzo from Bohemia is mistaken about what he saw. No, he's pissed. He's pissed. He's not mistaken, dude. We'll come back round to him. We'll see what else they have to say first. If you come to my warehouse, you will see 3 bellissimo balloons, all present and correct. I've already verified Mr. Loon's annual business reports, and he had the same number of balloons for a year now. Well, as thorough as ever, Lord Van Zykes, disarmingly so, and alarmingly. In that case, is the young boy just imagining things? As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony doesn't quite add up. Yeah, he's aware of this balloon. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another 4th balloon, but Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility, and it's hard to imagine the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. Alright, so let's redo this one and let's see what the young prince has to say when he gets all pissed. See, he looks all coy about the whole, hey, what about this? And also, I mean, just saying, oh, well, this could have come from a balloon that crashed, like, weeks ago. Like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure it would have been cleaned up. It was literally at the steps to the stage. Would it not have been cleared away by now? I mean, in this day and age, I can imagine that trash would sit around forever before somebody finally picked it up. But back in those days, they had standards. Right, so he's pissed. It's like, this guy's mistaken about what he saw.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Master Gotz? It's Master Wilhelm Gottsrich Sigmund Ormstein! It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it all over Bohemia. You can speak as much of bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, ragazzo, then I must tell you your parents to punish you, eh? You've had such a wreck of a week, Erikai? Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Well look, it's Friday. Hopefully the weekend brings you something better. Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple explanation, simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance, some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why did you not say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious. What? Did this kid have, I mean, this obviously is rich. He had a camera with him, of course. I had not been up in the balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. Oh, there goes the other balloon. I took lots of photographs of the Crystal Tower, the Bohemia exhibit, of the streets of London, the hot eel cellar, the balloon, and the instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, one picture. Really? You did take one. But all I wanted was the ride in the balloon. I was not interested in the boring experiments. What? Never mind that. Can you show us the photograph? Of course, and then you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. You got a cold, last minute assignments, and a wisdom tooth alert. Oh no! Yeah, I got a cold like weeks ago, and it really wrecked me for a bit. Man, I was still like all bunged up in my nose for a good week and a half afterwards. It's only this last week that I can say that it's cleared up. Mother's cleaning the oven, so I can't use it for the next 3 hours. Can't make ramen. No, your life is crumbling apart. It's all evaporating. No. Oh, good old ramen. Ramen's good. Well, I see you're all too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man. Yeah, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Ah! Ah! Oh, that is one very Bohemian sounding cry. Ah! Ah! Is that how they cry? But I don't know. I'm just improvising. Nothing is evaporating because you can't boil the water. Oh no! Is it watered down water? Were you here for that discussion earlier, Little Rip? I don't think you were. Is the water? I mean, it could be worse. The water could have been watered down with more water, because that was something that came up earlier. The guy said, the defendant said that he was drinking. He's like so poor he has to drink watered down water. And it's like, what the fuck? And then we got thinking about, what if you made ice from watered down water, and you made a watered down ice and then put that in watered down water to water it down even more with watered down ice that melts into watered down water. It's like, oh my god. And eventually we decided you would just have air. It would be like moisture, cold water moisture in the air. It was all very... We went places with that discussion for a while. It got a bit off the rails, yeah. Water downception, yes, exactly. Very well, the court will accept the photograph as evidence. A balloon that has been entered into the court record. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take the photograph? Let's have another look at that, actually. I mean, you know, it's an empty balloon, and it doesn't look like it's got the colours on it, so... interesting. And there's the guy, supposedly in the cage. There's the professor. What is this bright streak here? Look at that. There's like a bright streak heading for the balloon. Somebody fired something at the balloon. Interesting. I don't know what else this can tell us though, other than the fact that, yeah, this balloon was here and that's what the bang was. And the shot seems to be coming from here. From inside the steam. Okay. File that away in our brain for now. Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang, and a hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give a flying fig. Lovely language you picked up, dude. As I thought, his testimony doesn't add up, blah blah blah. The boy claims to have seen something. So what does this give us to play with? What can we work this into? Every balloon landed safely. All three of my balloons were carrying passengers if they fell to the ground. Well, we can see in the picture that this particular balloon isn't carrying passengers. And it is over the exhibition stage where he says he's the only one running balloons. You know, because that's his turf. So maybe now we can disprove that statement and say, well, this one didn't have any passengers on it. But if you lost a balloon with no passengers on it, then there'd be no worry, would there? And therefore, yeah, I don't really know where we're going with this, but we'll just keep going. But he says all his balloons have the blue and red zigzag stripes, kind of like what he's wearing on his head. Now, I think we need to present this now and say, nah.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the photograph Mr. Gotts took can't tell us the colour of the balloon, but it can tell us something else, something crucially important. What? It shows the picture of the balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, they are for pleasure, for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the sky above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing, yet I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine. Which I'm inclined to believe.
Objection!
But we know the balloon is probably relevant now. There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. And again, why would any of them be flying the balloon without having charged people to ride on it? It just seems like a waste of time and money. Clearly one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition and managed to operate a balloon flight on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competition trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because of the experimenter that went wrong on the stage, which you said you weren't watching earlier, but okay. This fourth balloon exploded on the very same moment that Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks, they didn't come from the stage at all. It were bits of the balloon raining down. But because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation stage. This photograph shows nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one that operated by some rogue trader. Clearly, it has nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. No, they're bored. The whole jury are bored as fuck. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up and not in our favour. What else can the photograph tell us? There's nothing more we can learn from it. Well, there has to be something more.
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait. Please do not give your decision yet. The photograph from Master Gotts may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue?
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It is time for definitives now, so tell the court. What exactly does the alleged clue in the photograph prove? The cause of the explosion, I think. Because we can't prove the colour, because it's not a colour photograph. We don't know who the owner is. How the hell can we prove the owner of the photograph? But we can definitely consider the cause of the explosion. Because that there is a projectile that got fired up at this hydrogen-filled balloon. And the steam coming out of the machine's exhaust pipes covered that. I mean, if anything, it's almost like it was prepared. You know, whoever fired did so from the cover of the steam. So it's like they knew the steam was coming, which means they might have had something to do with the building of this machine to begin with. Alright. I'm gonna go with cause of explosion. We can reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed by the searing heat of the explosion. Yes, that's right! Yeah! It was not my fault! Evidently, because the bird cage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon being filled with flammable hydrogen instantly explosively ignited. No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of the alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Okay, I have a prediction. Are you guys ready for a crazy prediction? I think you are. I'll take your silence as yes. Also, I know there's a stream delay, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, what they're saying is that the guy was in the machine, and then there was there were two bangs. We know there were two bangs. That has been, you know, very well testified to. And the first one caused this thing to tilt upwards. And the second one, no, you don't want a prediction. Too late, I'm doing it. The second one was a bang up here, and they're saying that that was the guy materializing after he had been teleported by the beam up there, instead of landing over here on the stage. And then he fell down and crashed into the tower, but he'd already been stabbed in the heart by a screwdriver, which we found back on the stage, and basically he had a broken neck because of the landing of the fall, but that wasn't the cause of death. Unsubscribed from predictions! There's no such command. Turn off predictive texting. Well, that you can do, because that stuff sucks. Unless you're trying to do something really funny with it, and then it's hilarious. So, there was a balloon in the way, though, that exploded instead. And then this guy suddenly fell out of the sky from where the balloon was. Here's my prediction. I think that Mr. Odie Asman was inside that balloon. In the helium balloon. I think he was already dead. He'd been flown up there, right, while he was inside the balloon's case itself, and then somebody shot the balloon to have the body then supposedly appear, and he fell down out of the sky, but he was already dead by that point. You know, he'd been killed earlier in the day, and the person we saw on the stage was an imposter, who then showed up and took his place, only to vanish. Well, what if he dropped down through a hatch in the floor? And he was hiding inside the base until things had calmed down, and then he ran off. So he's part of the conspiracy to kill Odie Asman. Someone's trying to frame Loon. Well, no, they're trying to frame Professor Hairbrain, the guy who made this machine. So, because they stabbed him with one of that guy's screwdrivers and then left it on the stage afterwards. But the thing is, they said that because there was no blood on the stage, so they couldn't have been stabbed on the stage and then the screwdriver taken out because they would have gushed blood. So they're saying that they left the screwdriver in. Well, that's what they're saying, is that Professor Harebrain stabbed him with the screwdriver, left it in to staunch the wound, and then teleported the guy, and the screwdriver didn't go with him because it's made of metal and metal doesn't transport. But we know the guy was wearing steel-rimmed glasses. The metal rimmed glasses, they shouldn't have moved with him either, but they did. So that's an inconsistency we haven't yet explained. Well, it wasn't the same person here as who materialized over here where the exploding balloon was. And whoever did this knew that this machine would give up a lot of steam. They set the balloon up to be flying overhead, and then they shot it down. And they rigged it so that this machine would break and point up to where the balloon was, supposedly. That, I think, is what's happened here. The question is, who was the person who got into the actual machine itself? You know, who is actually in there? Who is that? Is that Odie Asman? Or is Odie Asman inside this balloon? Because he's definitely not in the basket, but he could be in the balloon. And then whoever did this shot the balloon down after making it look like the machine had malfunctioned and pointed in the wrong direction, and that's where he was all along. Because the balloon would explode, nobody would really remember seeing it because everybody's looking here, not here. That's what I think happened. And whoever was inside here ended up going down, like, you know, maybe that opens up and they just dropped into it, like, because everybody was like taking cover from the bang, the steam obscured everything. And then that person, whoever that is, the imposter, hid for a while and then left when everything cooled off. How do you know he's not in the basket? You can't see the bottom of the basket. Well, no, but it doesn't look like a big enough basket to be able to hide the body and that cage. See that little kind of like crisscrossing cage that he's surrounded by? That's a metal frame. So this is a picture of the body. He's inside this metal frame. Sorry, not metal, this wooden frame. And he's strapped into it, look. So they had to strap him into it to transport him. That's what they were going to teleport him over to the Crystal Tower stage. But instead he appeared above and fell. Well, he appeared where the balloon was. Suddenly there's no balloon and he's here. So that's a huge thing to hide in that basket and not be seen from that angle, I think. So he could have been in the balloon itself. Although, now I'm saying it out loud, if the balloon exploded, surely we would see some scorching. I'm doubting my own theory. Damn it. It was cool though. When the moment lasted, it was cool, but the theory now doesn't hold up. Because he would have been scorched. I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's keep that crazy theory in the back of our minds. It might be true. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of the alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. I think the frame would have been a bit more damaged. Yeah, that's the thing, and it would be burned as well. And he would be burned, certainly. What's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have. In a way, that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. A clue that heavily suggests that the real reason the balloon exploded is right here.
Take that!
And we have a crossbow that we found behind a bush at the scene. The timing of the photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you will notice there is a bright white line that appears to point directly to the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Goodness, what is that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon. Like an arrow! An arrow, yes! Indeed, even to my aging eyes it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas-filled balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
It's not me, I swear! I think Erikai did it, guys. Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals exactly how this did happen. What evidence? If such evidence exists, Council, then for goodness sake, present it, man! Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon? The crossbow!
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. It wasn't really hidden, it was sitting on the grass, but, you know. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right. That streak of light in the photo looks like an arrow, doesn't it? Then the explosion of the balloon, it was... Very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Oh. Seemed pretty quick to defend yourself there, Era. What are you, where were you during this incident? I'm totally not the flaming fire. Searching frantically online for what is a cooling system for computers. That sounds like something only a man made of fire would do. Order! Order! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. Bang! The noise of the discharge, of course. That's right. I love how enthusiastically he nods. He's like, yes, yes, yes. Oh god, that made me dizzy now. Oof. I shouldn't do things like that at my age. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had a gun shot off at an exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. But with a big explosion, there's a very big panic anyway, no? Yeah, but it got all eyes looking up at where it came from, just in time to see a body fall out of the sky. Why would you need a cooling system for the computer? Could it be because you are the flaming fireman? I don't like this. In the act of setting the balloon off, did you by chance set your computer on fire? Oh, I think Alchemist's onto something. Finding info and reference for your assignment. Ah. A likely story. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong. Oh, there it is. Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued... What? Wait a minute, what are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all, or what? My goodness me. Now I understand. That's what the sinking feeling is about. We're about to once again assault Harebrain's hypothesis and say that his contraption doesn't really work. Oh my god. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. Yes! My prediction, as always, comes around. What? Did I just hear you correct, Council? There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. That's it. There we go. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage in the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said the experiment was scientifically impossible, in which case this is the only way to explain what happened that day. The old switcheroo. Gotta say, Ryu looks dapper in the British steampunk outfit. Yeah, it's cool. He's even got a little mouse sitting on his shoulder. He's got a little buddy. Little mascot. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? Well... Yeah, I just thought, the magician who we have, Doctor Strange is about to speak, everybody. Or Dr. Orpheus, maybe, from Venture Brothers. He looks a bit more like him. But, yeah, he's going to give us a whole, like, sleight of hand thing. He's also got Batman's card deck for some reason. If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3? All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman, and having this other man's appearance appear on stage in front of the show as a body double. Ah, yes. I bet you Loon shot the balloon. Charge him with insurance fraud! Yeah, or he saw it as a potential competitor and was like, not today, I'm gonna shoot you down, you little belly... Die. You know, like, yeah, now this is clearly some weird switcheroo / murder plot. Ah, yes, of course. So, in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start. That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the 4 winds when it exploded. No one would have ever embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of a balloon gas would very much depend on the mixture ratio. And juror number 4? Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio. Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would have been unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render the whole obscene charade impossible. There you have it. Also, wouldn't the explosive force be going outward away from the center anyway, and therefore in the middle it might actually, you know, the gas would be escaping because it's under pressure, so it would move away from where the body was as it burns up. So everything that happened can be explained logically and scientifically. Does that dude have a fucking sword and the other dude has a revolver? How the fuck do they have weapons in courthouses? That was like this in England in the 19th century, you know. It depends on the point of ignition. That's true, yeah. The point of ignition would have been on the outside of the balloon as well, so I don't know how that would change things. But yeah, the main character, Ryu, is carrying a katana blade. It was his friend's blade. The guy called Kazuma Asogi at the beginning of the first game was supposed to be the guy who came to England to study law and become a lawyer, because they're in like a information skill set trade with the British Empire and Japan. Ryu was a student of something else. I don't know exactly what he was studying, but it wasn't law. But he had to defend himself in court because Kazuma Asogi wanted to do it, and then he was told not to, because if he loses that trial, he would lose his position to go to England. So when Ryu did such a good job of defending himself, Kazuma was so impressed he also smuggled Ryu on board the steamship to take him to England. He smuggled him in on his luggage, but then Kazuma Asogi supposedly died. I say supposedly now because I think we've re-met him. I think he showed up as earlier in this case. We see that Lord Van Zykes has an apprentice, a mysterious guy with a mask covering part of his face and a hood, and he doesn't talk to anybody, but he's also an accomplished combatant with a sword. And it's like, see where this is going. So anyway, after Kazuma supposedly died, Ryu took his sword to carry his legacy with him, and he decided to study law and live Kazuma's dream for him. So yeah, and he also has Xbox goggles, exactly right, yeah. So he has a sword, you know, and I mean, everybody had guns in those days. It was the Wild West almost. So the explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that the instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Oh, goodness me. If we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. Ugh. According to Wiki, it's English major. What is? Sorry. I've moved on, I've forgotten what I was talking about. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view this entire time. Oh, his uni course. Was it English literature then? Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. Oh, wait a minute. No, we did learn this. This came up earlier on. Right, you're right, Erikai. He was studying English, yes. But he decided to come to England instead to be a lawyer after Kazuma died. This would be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zykes can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrain is a suspect now. And then Harebrain is going to jump in again and ruin our hypothesis once more. Yep, here we go. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts, thank you. But you're fired. Professor? But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrain? Yeah, that's right. He came because Kazuma asked him to. He smuggled him in onto the steamship on his luggage, but then Kazuma died in an unfortunate accident. He slipped and broke his neck, basically. So, yeah. But I don't think he really died. You still ship them both. I still think that he's actually Kiryu. But anyway. I, Albert Harebrain, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odi Asman. Yes, it was me. With my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. What is he doing? What are you doing? As your lawyer, I advise you to shut your mouth. Order! 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 Defendant, explain this sudden confession. Professor Harebrain, what are you talking about? It's what I have said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. Dude, if you claim that you actually murdered him, though, your machine will be taken apart, so you're not protecting shit now. Idiot. You stand there and claim it was all a trick and all an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? Well, you didn't even build the machine. You don't know, dude. No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it. It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you would dupe Professor if you just like... Barok! Yes. I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please, ensure the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation. Wait, what? You mean when I said I think he's Kiryu? From Yakuza, there's a guy called Kazuma Kiryu. He's the main character. So when this guy showed up calling himself Kazuma, I was like, Kiryu? Are you here as well? And he kind of looks a little bit like a younger version of him, so... Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed challenge at this crucial juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. But then he still has to go to jail. Yeah, for a hallowed chalice, he sure breaks a lot. Yeah, I was saying earlier on, at the start of this case, we had to go to his office. This is the first time we've actually been or seen him anywhere other than in a courtroom. We went to his office, and over in the corner, there was a cabinet, like a glass-doored cabinet, on top of which was a wine rack with several bottles of wine in it that he handpicks himself. And there were lots of these glasses that he breaks. And he told us when we like quizzed about it, he said that he personally oversees the making of all of these hallowed chalices because he wants to make sure they're up to good standards if he's going to bring them into a British courtroom. Even if he's going to break them, you know, it's like, yes, but I wouldn't break some cheap shit. You know, it's like, what? This guy's weird. Merrick, hello, you got back for a big case. Hello, yes you have. We're on the third case of the second game now. How are you today, Merrick? Happy Friday, dude. Well, counsel, what's the defense's position on the matter? Yeah, what are we gonna do here? Professor Harebrain, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on the stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence, or do I uphold my client's request to see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind? Vacation was great, must admit. I do pretty damn well right now. Nice! Good, I'm glad you had a good vacation, dude. How to make people rage, break expensive challenges while prosecuting, yes. Mr. Naruhodo! There's no escape here, I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one, I have to give up on something, but what? The defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact... Oh man, what do I do here? This is what I was talking about earlier, where you know you can lose a case by picking the wrong one of these sometimes, and it won't let you come back around until you've actually, you know, seen the end game screen. So I'm going to save it there just in case we end up going down a long path of failure. Woke up this morning calling it a win. Alright. So, if we say this is a conjuring trick, then we allow them to, like, pick that machine apart. And it might prove that it is. It might actually reveal that there's a trapdoor or something, that the doppelganger fell down. If we say that it was a scientific investigation, we're basically going back on what we've just fought to prove. But then it's like, okay, so now we're saying that the guy did actually use his machine to kill someone. But since it is actually a proper piece of scientific equipment... Oh no, it's the screwdriver now. So the screwdriver killed him and the machine didn't, but it is a proper piece of scientific equipment. But we're allowing the prosecution's claim that he then stabbed him with the screwdriver before teleporting him away is how things happened. But his machine will be protected, but he will go away. Fuck the machine, it can be rebuilt. It's more a case of the fact that this is an unpatented scientific discovery, or so the professor is claiming, and he doesn't want it then being taken apart by people who would then publish everything about it, and then other people would, you know, jump in and make them. Like, it would basically ruin his patent. So that's why he wants us to protect it. I was in bed awake for 4 to 5 hours because you have a storm. Oh no! So we're just listening to that. Man, speaking of storms, over in like Western Canada, like Vancouver area, oh, they've got it bad right now. They've had whole highway bridges wash out to sea and all sorts. They've got super deep flood waters. It's terrible. So if anybody's out there from Vancouver area or BC, hope you stay safe. Stay true to your beliefs. I think you're right, Erikai. Conjuring trick it is. I'm going to go down this path because I think we need to prove the truth. Not, you know, say, oh, well, you know, we'll support a lie. I want to prove the truth. Come on, Ryu. Ah! No, I can't say it. My client placed his faith in me. I can't let him down. Are you kidding me? What must I give up on is not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect? Susato? Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. What? Is this a fever dream? Is she really here? Susato-san? But what are you... Hi-ya! Oh no, the takedown! Ow! Ah! My first Susato takedown in 6 months, it hurts. Is she not around anymore? At the end of the first game, at the end of the 5th case of game number 1, she had to go back to Japan. But it all kind of stinks. There was something going on. She was told her father wasn't well and she needed to return because he's not, you know, he's not very well. There's maybe even die. You never know. It's a pretty serious illness. You better come back to Japan. She went back, and then while she was there, she got embroiled in another case where she had to defend a friend of hers. That was the first case of this game, and that case raised some stuff about a previous case that they'd done in England together. So we did a flashback case with her being there because it was before she left, and then we came back to present day after that case and she was still in Japan, but she was planning to return. Hey Estalon! How's it going? Nice to see you. You made it. You made it to Friday and you made it to the stream. Nice. Is this a surprise? Yes. I didn't realize Susato was going to be back. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand, which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Hairbrain. Ah, yes. Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Assman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. That the truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. No! Nine! There goes another bottle. Shit. That's 2. You've acquired some fancy lighting. Ooh, nice. Are they like them Philips Hue bulb type things, or things that like change color with music and stuff? They're cool. So you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Ah. Having heard my learned friend's assertions, don't you have something to say? He has a lot of feelings bottled up. Yes, he certainly does. Baroque. Lord Van Zykes. Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. Boo! Hey, we all know bad jokes are welcome on this channel. Except when Shy's here, then she hits me. Proverbially, through the internet. In truth, there is one thing, something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. You saw that and you didn't think that was weird? Fucking hell, these people. She's keeping a list of jokes that hit you for once that you move there. Yes, that's it. I'm gonna get just, a slap for every single one of them. Oh my goodness. I beg your pardon? Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Tall, taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see. One less lens than me too, a monocle rather, stylish black monocle. But one thing in particular will help positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he is the engineer who built the invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Assman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber! Does this mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. Who on earth is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in the scientific circles in connection with that name. There's talk of another flamboyant experiments that turned out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. What is going to be left of Wolf when this happens? Yeah, I haven't been wearing earmuffs to block all the sounds. Like 3 pounds of ground chuck. That's what I'll be, yes. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion? Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that the machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why I was so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, than a work of deception, then everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I wonder how many sets of cards he has if you don't continue the scene with the magician. Thing is, Merrick, there is a detective in this game, Gregson, who has bottomless fish and chips. He takes 2 or 3 bites out of the cone of fish and chips, like a paper cone, and then he gives them a sort of a, like, a jolt like that, like whoik, gives them a shake, and a new like fish pops out of the wrapper, and he just keeps eating that, and it's like, what? Where did all that come from? And there's one of the jurors, as a kid, who just seems to have an infinite supply of corn cobs that they're just chewing on. He's only pulling out like 5 cards at a time, so just a couple of decks of cards would last a while. Yeah, that's true as well. But yeah, people just seem to have infinite supply of things. It's the good old days, you know. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber? I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Asman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring research grant money. Yes, infinity sounds wonderful, yes. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Mr. Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. Well, that was smoke to cover the crime, obviously. But I really don't know what the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. It is a wise man that knows that he knows nothing. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry. Is it just me, or does Harebrain look like Lupin the Third in disguise? A little bit, yeah, actually, come to think of it. I'm gonna go sleep now before I went into mushy mode. Good night. No problem, Erica. Take care. Thanks for popping by. Hope you have a good sleep. And I hope, you know, your week goes better next week. Sleep well, dude. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zykes. My lord. The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. I hope he finds it delicious. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord. When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. He wants evidence. Oh my god, I don't have any evidence. Mr. Naruhodo! Yes? I'm so sorry. I was wrong, you were right. I tricked you, you trusted me, I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry! Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing? Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, all of my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. All right. In that case, I won't say any more, except the fact that you're a rube. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. We must do as much investigating as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. Susato! I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrived. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo. Wouldn't that be it would be a surprise? Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. That happens when you're happy to see someone. What would you do to your enemies? Jesus! Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future. Like, you know, you could shake my hand or something, or... Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see, but we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. Wow. I'm so glad that you were able to commit an act of animal cruelty in order to get here in time. I was watching you from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. She's like, God, he's been an idiot again. I need to go down there and throw him to the ground. Yeah, you don't powerbomb your friends when you meet for lunch? No, never happens. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh? Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Well, it depends. Did you bring your book of everything? Of course. So, what brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. To be continued. Yes, we will save that progress. And with that, guys, since we've only got half an hour left anyway, and we're at the start of a new section, I think we should leave it there for the day.